What's good, everybody? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again here on the King Ghana channel. Guys, it is 5:12 a.m. April 20th here in Uganda. I just had a birthday, number 42, and Brother George is calling me an hour after the birthday ended talking about he got smoke for the brothers and sisters here on the King Ghana YouTube channel. I will let him describe who he is and what he does, and we'll get back into it. Go ahead, brother.
Again, hi everybody. I'm George making Street Media TV. Street Media TV was formerly known as the George Making Experience. Over there is a family show. We talk about the black family. We don't deal in a gender war. We talk about correction and building and correcting the community. I'm also the founder and CEO of Urban Nerds Foundation. You can see my channel over there, Urban Nerds Worldwide channel, where we work with inner city youth. We believe if you can change the way that they speak, you can change the way that they think. If you can change the way that they think, you could change their outcomes in life. So we're a STEM program and history program, and we're working on rebuilding the minds of African American youth. So that's what we do over here.
Give them a round of applause, editors. So, Brother George, we talked about Latinos are now saying that they built America and black folks are pissed. That was the episode me and you did.
Right.
That was in reference to John Leguizamo. And of course, for those of you who have not seen that video, make sure you go to the first pinned comment and check it out. But the gist of the argument that Mr. John Leguizamo was saying was, hey, we have a $2.8 trillion spending power. We have built this country despite the racist things that have been leveraged against us. We're still thriving. And because of your mother, who was an Afro-Latina, a Cuban, and your dad's African-American, once you revealed that, they felt that you were taking the Latino community's side, and therefore, and you're married to an African-American, living one of the greatest African-Americans.
18 years.
Right. You run African-American programs, right? Which takes black kids, maybe we could put some B-roll there, all through the state and historically black colleges and everything else. Yet, but that people were saying that you were not qualified to speak on the issues affecting the African-American community because they didn't like what you had to say. What did you have to say that a lot of the commenters did not like?
Well, I'll start off by saying this. I'm a 48-year-old black man, married to a beautiful black African-American woman for 18 years, raised 4 children, have 6 grandchildren. If you go over to my Street Media TV in the community tab, I don't hide nothing. All my family is there. I promote it. I show it because I try to tell black people that we're capable of doing it. I was raised by my father on my African-American side. I was born and raised here in Philadelphia. This is what I know. This is all I know. The problem that we have in the black community is we're stuck on talking points and catchphrases and stuff like that and no work. So this year it's FBA, next year to be something else, the following year to be something else. And for years I talked about FBA has to become a thing. It has to become a movement. It has to become action. Been moving all across America in every city. Children on the street should know what FBA is if it's going to become a thing. The rappers should be putting it in their music. It should become a lifestyle, a way of life. If you want to get some type of change. Now the problem that we have is because we got this new catchphrase, FBA. When people hear, "Oh my God, his mother's Cuban, he's not qualified to speak for us," they throw away all the work. Or they fail to do research to find out who I actually am. But they easily went over to my channels and seen my work, seeing my wife, seeing my children, seeing me and my son, seeing us in the community for years, doing work. But because our people, we operate from lack and not a position of power.
Okay.
We make irrational, emotional decisions and comments.
Can you give me an example? Because you make this point. Let's paint the picture. Because somebody's gonna say, "What do you mean when you say emotional comments or something like that?" Can you give me an example and to prove?
They'll go and say, they'll go and say, they said a multitude of things, but one of the things that they said was, they said, well, you're big up in him and allowing him to promote a lie. And seems like you're siding with him. You have dual allegiances. Well, my response to that was, it's funny how you can come and make that comment to me, where my name is George Macon. They call me African American. We live a lie every day. We are a total representation of a lie. Okay. America, as opposed to so-called African Americans, is a lie. Mm-hmm. The whole existence is a lie. Mm-hmm. Stolen from you and made up. So now you ignore that, but you turn around and get mad at this. But this is the thing. If he's going to lie all the way to the bank if it's going to elevate his people. Okay. Y'all don't understand warfare and how it operates. All the other groups that's unified, view us as the weaker vessels because they know that we're not unified. Okay. So he's going to make statements that you may disagree with, but instead of you guys taking the emotional stance that you take, I want everybody to look at me for a minute. I'm gonna sit up and say this. Instead of you taking the emotional stance and being upset with what he said, you need to think about what was in his mindset that made him think it was okay for him to say it. That's what you need to deal with. Don't make me the bad guy for loving you enough to tell you the truth. He don't give a damn about how you feel. He's speaking on behalf of his people and for his people. And he's been doing this for some time now. Yeah, now, for many years. Now, it's funny how y'all want to all of a sudden get on morality and, well, that's wrong and he shouldn't say that. How many brothers and sisters you lie to every day? How many brothers and sisters you do wrong to every day? And not with and want to build. But you mad at him because he's coming on here lying on us to build his own people? No, what you should be doing is knowing that we're at war. Right. Our groups don't give a damn about us. They will step on us and throw us in the goddamn river if that's what it takes for them to get past us, to get all the trinkets and things that's coming. They hear us hollering reparations. They hear us talking ADOS and FBA. They're right there watching. You know what they're saying? Wait a minute. How are the African Americans going to overstep us? We're the original Native Americans. This is what they're saying. Right. So y'all got to learn how to listen. Because I covered all this. I shouldn't even be back here having the talk. But again, I know how black people are. Because I'm a black man talking, your first initial just disrespect me, not listen. Had you done listened, I wouldn't have to come through this again. Right. But again, he's saying that his people are the oldest people here in America. They've been oppressed the longest, and they deserve reparations. He's saying that they fought in every war. They experience racism in these corporate jobs. They experience racism in Hollywood. This is what he's saying.
And they did experience it. Now we're not trying to say that, and you're not saying they experienced it to the level that we did. That was never your argument. No. Although I believe that's what a lot of the people in the audience felt. Okay, he's agreeing that they experienced, which clearly they have. So he's trying to equate their experience as equal as to what it has been in the black experience, which you never said that.
Right. I never said that his experience was equal. You know, I'm not even dealing with whose was worse. You know what I'm dealing with? The fact that he said it. Right. He's the one speaking. And I'm warning my people, what's at play here? He recently called for other Latins to make noise about the issues they're facing at work. This is all in his article. He's calling out Hollywood for the lack of Latin representation. He's talking about things that Mexicans go through on the West Coast and how certain states in America were stolen from them. He's talking about what the Spaniards did to them and how they became a so-called Latino Hispanic group. He's talking about, you know why? He's listening to us. And he's saying, wait a minute. Well, we went through this too. But see, let me tell you, let me tell my people something, right? If you was working with your people every day and fighting tooth and nail to gain power, you wouldn't give a damn about what he say. It only hurts when they say this stuff and stings because you know deep down that we're fighting from a position of lack and no power to get things done. That's why it hurts so much. That's why it hurts when Fat Joe talks about hip hop and them still in hip hop, because we don't have the power to get things done. Let me tell you something. If John Leguizamo feared punishment from the African community for speaking that way, he wouldn't have said it. So I need y'all to think for a minute. Don't be caught up in what he said.
Right.
Be caught up in the mindset that it told him it was okay to say it. That's what we need to deal with, because that's where our problem is. When they look over at us, we can do whatever we want to do. They not unified. They don't have no power in the courts. They don't have no power in the Congress and the Senate. They're not getting nothing done.
Or in the private sector.
Or the private sector, because they affluent blacks don't even want to be around them.
There you go. Let me ask you a question though, because that's a great point. And I heard Brother Search for Uhuru. We have an interview, and what you keep hearing a lot is a lot of African Americans, which is a true statement. You know, in many words, and some people disagree, but you keep hearing Black people say, "We built this country. We built this country." It's a big talking point, I believe, in the ADOS camp and the FBA camp. A lot of African Americans, they love to hear that we built this country. And here's my honest opinion about that. Well, actually, let me just ask you this before I get my honest opinion on it. Why do you think that Black people love to keep, bringing up that point? We built this country. We built this country. And is there a reason why?
Yes,
because we say it all the time.
Yes, because we're not in a position of power or control of our own economics in our community. So when we yell out, that's our only position that we can yell out for people to have sympathy towards us. Because if we actually own our own economics, if you went through Black communities in Chicago, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Atlanta, Newark, New Jersey, Brooklyn, Memphis, all these places where there's predominantly Blacks and we control the economics there, we wouldn't have to say we built the country, because everybody would know it and they would be forced to respect us. We would be a force to be reckoned with, because our economics, we would be in control of it. We will also be in control of the property in those areas, which would garner more political participation and political power, because we would be homeowners. We would control those cities. We will actually have more power. But because we don't control them, the only thing we can yell out is, we built this country. They know we built this country, but they don't give a damn. They know who you are better than you do. But they don't. Just how many years we've been yelling, we built this country, and cops still shoot Black boys in the back. They still sentencing us in courtrooms at unprecedented levels. Still. We still have inadequate schools where they combining schools. We still have they still using our communities as sanctuary cities and everything else. But you still yelling, we built this country. That means nothing. Nothing. If you don't have the power to control, to patrol and protect what you build. You got billionaire. Listen, you got James Stewart, David Stewart. He's a Black billionaire, runs a Black tech company. He's worth $6 billion. You can walk through the Black community or get online and talk to Black people. Very few Black people know who this man is. I think that's an effing disgrace. You got people like Ken Chenault that's run multi-billion-dollar corporations. So many Black people in position of power, but they're virtually invisible to the Black community. Don't work like that in other communities. They celebrate and honor their people. Our people, we run away. So I've seen people on there talking about, well, we got Black people that's doing things. You're right. A brother even brought up Maryland, Prince George County, towns like Kettering and Mitchellville and all those places. Yeah, I have family that live in Mitchellville.
Okay.
Medium income is 113,000, 70% Black. They don't come and deal with Black people in the communities. They live over there away from everybody, and they don't give a damn about what's going on in the Black community.
Right.
See, we got to stop.
Go ahead, address that too. Also, let me just say this one thing. My mother went to UC Davis in 1968. She's one of the first African Americans at that particular time to get a scholarship from the UC system in Northern California. And at that particular time, although living in the West Coast, going to UC Davis, the mindset was more or less, or almost any college was, okay, we're going to get this education. And one of the things that we need to do with these skills that we want to acquire is to impact our group.
Oh,
okay. So that was, and that was what partly of that's one of the reasons why I went to medical school. But what I've noticed is when I see a lot of the brothers and sisters coming from HBCUs, going to Howard, going to Morehouse School of Medicine or whatever, Hampton.
Mm-hmm.
In today's world, we are graduating these students. That's true. But you have very little impact in giving anybody jobs coming from these institutions. It's not like, it's different when you see like me having my skill set being here in Uganda. I see now the education I got in the West and what I've learned and the impact I'm having, trying to have here, which would be very similar if I was living in America.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now using that to try to impact something, but that wasn't my mentality all the time when I was coming up. So when we start to mention these things, that, okay, I'm educated, but it has no power, it has no effect in our group. There's no impact. So you're talking about how we have this education, but you don't see any business. Like, what is your education doing such that you see results from what you have learned? You see it in the Latino community. Dare I say, you see it in the Nigerian American community. You see it in every other community, and even in Africa. You see the Lebanese and Indians. When they get educated, they're going to impact their diaspora wherever they're at. And then that money is coming back full circle. It's a positive feedback loop into whatever. But blacks have no ownership due to their education such that they can find talent and clean their people up, as you like to say. So when people mention that, there is no fee. The African-American community is not affected, because if we had African-American firms, I might see some talent as a black person. A white person might call this kid special needs or something like that. I can look at him and say that guy is smart. He's intelligent. He can do the job. And that might be a gem that we can throw into the industry. But because we don't have those firms there, we leave all that money on the table.
You know what's funny, O'Shea?
All of that. Yeah.
We have some African American firms, but they don't interact and operate in the black community the way that they should. And if they do, everything is done on the underground. The youth in urban areas don't see them and want to strive to be like them because they're invisible. See, I had somebody leave a comment in the comment section and say, well, brother, you're wrong because we have economics, we have this. And I just left the comment and I said, well, brother, you can't be mad at me because Dr. Amos Wilson, the blueprint for, what's the name of his book? The Dr. Amos Wilson book is the Blueprint for Black Power, right? You had many black economic strategists that talked about our current situation. Dr. Claude Anderson, Dr. Darity, many of them, not me, they told you about our economic and us being put as a permanent underclass. And our graduating classes from these universities are not actually putting back into the black community to make us to be a force to be reckoned with amongst the other groups. Our voting block is weak. They talked about this, not me. So now, if we know that they talked about this, and the reason why are you going around screaming FBA right now? Why? Because you're trying to get an identity separate from everybody else that's been leeching and making you powerless while they actually get more power from our movements than we do, right? So how can y'all come and tell me that I'm wrong? So all John Leguizamo is doing is seeing what we arguing about, and then he's saying, well, wait a minute, we're older than them, we're the majority of them. We got our ass kicked longer than they have. So he don't have to say, so when he say we built this country, I'm not dealing with whether he's right or wrong. I'm just dealing with the fact that he said it. And they have a stronger spending power and a higher voting block now. So in this country, a well-organized lie defeats a disorganized truth every time. So we got a whole bunch of disorganized truths where you got a lot of black people in prominent positions saying that we don't deserve reparations. So we got a lot of disorganized truths going up a well-organized lies. But you mad at me because I love you enough to tell you the truth. So you guys want to be FBA, you better practice it. It better become a lifestyle, better become a way of life. If you saying you ain't African and you ain't going back to Africa no time soon, and you ain't black, because that's a whatever y'all like to call it, you better get control of your local neighborhoods you live in. You better start buying up all the property. You better become the firemen there, the police officers there, the school teachers there. You better control everything. If you ain't, shut up. Shut up. And you ain't got no right to be mad at John Leguizamo. Because if you're not going to do things to protect where you live and to protect your investments, then you wasting your time arguing, because all they're doing is looking over the gate like, oh, you're not going to buy that? You're not going to marry and become a family and get into city council and control your areas? Oh, well, we'll take it then. We'll take it. Oh, you don't want to control your schools? Oh, okay. Well, we'll take it. We'll buy up all the stores. We'll donate money to your local congressman, and we'll do all that. You don't have to do it. You can just come down here and march. And then within 10 years, they got all the power, and you a guest in your own community. And then he come out and he make the statements that he made, and you're powerless. You can't stop it. You can't do nothing to stop it but to get online and cry and moan about it. Is this the life that we want for our children? This is what we're passing down to our children? Get on here and keep talking about the white man. Get on here and keep talking about tethers. Get on here and keep talking about what are we doing? What are we doing? Are we complaining about tethers, or are we seeking power? Because last time I checked, when A. Philip Randolph was fighting for the Pullman Porters for them to get a better wage, they had to come together and become a we. They had to stand together as one, a unified front. Mm-hmm. When Medgar Evers and all the blacks in the South was fighting for their voting rights and fighting to just be considered humans, they had to be a unified front. Despite being murdered, despite them blowing up schools and killing babies, they had to be a unified front to get certain bills passed, federal laws passed, for us to even be able to go to college, for us to be able to even get funded, for us to be able to get our GI bills and our things from the military. Mm-hmm. But you come on here now, when somebody tell you the truth, you attack your brother. You tell me I ain't qualified to speak.
Right.
All I'm telling you is I'm on our side. I'm telling you we at war. I don't have time to cry about what he said. I don't give a damn about what he said.
Right.
I care more about the mentality that he thought it was okay for him to say it. That's more of an indictment on us, because he didn't fear it. He looked over and said, man, I'm going to take that, man. I'm not do nothing to me. That's exactly what he said.
Let me also mention this too. One of the things about the Latino community, and we just got to be honest, and I've been living overseas to enough to see other immigrant groups coming into the country that I'm so let's say, for example, I'm in Poland. Or are you visiting Ukraine? So I'm also a foreigner in that land by default. But I got a chance to see groups like the Turkish men and how they view the Ukrainian men that's there. Mm-hmm. And how they're moving in more organized, how they move in to organize, start dealing with their women. I'm here in Africa. I see how the Chinese come in. They're more organized on average. And when you point that out, even some of the Africans will be offended by that. But the reality is this. Latino men on average, they want the responsibility of owning their story in their communities more. And here's what I honestly found. A lot of black men are going to be upset.
Hold on. O'Shea, let me stop you for a minute, because that was important. Yeah. Please say that again and say it with more emphasis. Please.
Latino men want to own their own story, meaning that you will never dictate their representation to the world without them. They'll kill you first if they need to do that. Okay. Not only that, they're going to own, they have their, as men, I'm going to leave the women out because I know a lot of brothers want to have problems with black women. And I get that. But Latino men, they are running toward the responsibility to provide for their women. They want that responsibility. They desire that. They want to step up to the plate. We want our women, we want our children, and we want our businesses. We want it. We want to fight for that. That is primary to us. We don't care about none of the small talk, all that. We want the responsibility to take care of our women. Like, we want that. You see some black men that want that responsibility. But on average, I see Latino men wanting that. And what black men will say, the reason why I don't want that responsibility is because look how these black women act. And I can get that. But there's some Latino women that got, bad reputations as far as they can cut you and all kind of stuff. But the Latino man is not concerned about that. He's concerned about, I want to own my own story because I don't feel like these white folks will let me do it. I want to own as much as I can, and I'm going to work on my people to achieve that no matter what. That's my desire. And everything else, if I can complete that, will take care of itself. Whereas with black men, they will come in the comment sections and they will give every excuse that you don't know what you're talking about, you're not qualified. Once the video goes off, they're not going to make any effort to do anything with anybody, but just to say those things to make themselves feel good. And I know that because I've been living around my life. You know what I'm saying? So that they want to be able to say it and not actually put in the actual hard work. And these other immigrant groups, like, I'm from Sacramento. I remember when the Ukrainians came in, they couldn't even get loans and stuff from like certain banks. They started a credit union. And black and African Americans is like 15% of Sacramento County. Don't even got one. But these people want to own their story. They want to own their churches. They want to own their businesses. They have that actual burning desire.
Can I add this in there?
Yes.
The reason why they're able to do it, because they're economic strategists and they're money class, the people with money. They invest back into their people and they build communities. Our top economic guys and women and men in the black community, when they make money, they leave the community. They don't come back and buy up the property and become the millionaires. They run away. They run away to places like Prince George County and other cities, affluent black cities across America. They don't come and buy up the urban areas and redo our people the way that they was told to do by W. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, Carter G. Woodson. They were told to do this, but at some point we stopped doing it. When you look at these areas across America, black cities, you look at these other immigrant groups coming in. They're not just getting special dispensation or money from the government. They coming in with money from their people. And they're building stores and building credit unions and building a whole bunch of different stuff right up under your nose. And they're watching you. Oh, they're gender war. They killing each other. Oh, we'll take that. Oh, we'll take this too. We'll take that. Oh, yeah, we'll take this. Now, do they have Latino ghettos and stuff like that? Yeah. But here in Philadelphia, if you come to Philadelphia, every store in the black community, at every corner, there's a Dominican store. On every corner. Every corner. There's a Dominican store. If you go to the avenues, they're African stores. Or African American stores. They're watching you saying, oh, you don't want this? Oh, we'll take it. Oh, they screaming FBA. Have they came down here and bought anything? No. I try to get people to go in and co-op. Let's go in and put some money up and go buy the shopping center. Let's go buy some stuff. Black people ain't got no trust. They're not willing to do nothing with each other. That's how I know FBA is not going to turn into nothing until black people get serious. It's time to start being about it. Because I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's time. Listen, you got one of the blackest cities in America, bro. We don't run the city.
In Philadelphia.
Yes, it's like 900,000 black people here.
Yeah.
How you don't run the city?
Right.
What is going on?
Yeah. Because our education, say this like you always say, our education doesn't educate us to think about our own issues or how to solve our own problems. And I've been telling you, when you come to Africa, you don't have no choice but to solve your own issues and your own problems. But there's a lot of fluidity and flexibility that blacks have in these cities. You don't have to deal with each other. Even if you live in Philadelphia, Atlanta, you really don't have to deal with African Americans or blacks if you don't, they're not your lifeline. Whereas over here, you have to work it out when you're in Africa.
Dr. John Henry Clark said the European education system will never educate you to compete with them as equals. Never. It's going to educate you to be subordinate to them. I have an uncle on my mother's side. Came here to America, didn't speak no English. Was never educated here in America. He could care less. He came here, bought some properties, opened up a couple stores, and became a multi-millionaire. Made his money, went to Florida. Didn't give a damn about the voting process and none of that stuff. You know how he was able to make money? He had cultural integrity. He came in here. His real education was knowing who he was and who he was to his people. And he's able to make money because he reinvested back into his people, which was an investment for him. He made money. The problem that we have is we got all this education, but we have amnesia of self. We have no racial integrity. We don't know who we are as a people, and we lose sight. So now you have all the key components today that maybe our grandfathers didn't have. Like I said, you have black doctors, black lawyers, black economic strategists, black politicians. You have everything to run your own cities. Everything. The problem that you have is you don't have your own mind. Because a lot of y'all say I'm not qualified. But what have you done to be qualified to speak for your people? How many of your people have you worked with? Or how many babies do you have? How many babies do you have by maybe men that you're not married to, or women that you're not married to, actually adding to the destruction of the community? Or are you working with brothers and sisters to actually build and uplift the community by creating home ownership, where we can control the homes and the taxes within that community, and we can control our own schools now? Do you know all the people that sits on city council in your city? You understand the zoning laws? Do you understand the laws within the municipality that you live in? Do you have people that represent you sitting on those boards? Do you even know who these people are? If not, then you're not qualified to tell me I'm not qualified, because you're not even representing yourself in the manner in which that's not FBA. Because if you're saying that you're FBA, you're not going back to Africa. You're staying right here.
Okay.
So if you're going to stay right here, you need to know everybody. You need to know your police chief, the firefighters chief, the chief of the firefighters department. You need to have black dentists in your communities, black doctors. You need to have all of that. You need to be saying, hey, listen, we need to own these homes so that way we can control who moves in these communities. If not, you're just a guest in your community. And the reason why you're upset when John Leguizamo make those comments, because you have none of those things that I just spoke about, and it renders you powerless. Because if you had those things, guess what? John might be a little apprehensive in saying those things, because he know the pushback is going to come with power. The pushback is going to come with a phone call saying, hey, that guy's out of line. I'm going to pull out this business if you don't handle that. We ain't in those type of positions. And the black people that we do got in those positions don't give a damn about you. That's our people. And guess what? Other groups are seeing this and watching it. You know what they say amongst themselves? Black folks don't care nothing about black folks. And guess what? We say that. So we're going to get upset because he said it when that's something that we say ourselves every day on here? No, we need to pay attention to what other people are saying about us and actually fight to do something about it, because they coming for us. They stepping on us, man. And it's the thing, and I'm going to say it again. He did what he's supposed to do. Shout out to John. He's saying what he's saying for his people. I'm saying what I'm saying for my people. I'm not mad at him for saying that. I'm more mad at us for creating a condition and an atmosphere to allow him to say it. Because despite slavery, despite Jim Crow, despite racism, ain't nothing stopping us from owning our own cities, bro. Nothing stopping us, man. We got to stop this foolishness, man. Ain't nobody stopping us from buying property.
Then what they're going to say is, if you say that, they know you're right. They'll start mentioning, well, I own my house. They'll start mentioning these little nuggets of success that they can point to.
Individual.
Yeah, that has nothing to do with us as a group. Like one dude said, I make over $200,000 a year. I'm like, bro, I make way more than that. But what does that mean? We have this black skin, and people still don't respect you. If you got, look at E40. E40 that kicked out of King's game the other night. What did E40 say?
Yes, and that's E40.
Yeah. He said, despite my success and what I've done in this industry as a businessman, I mean beverages and more. I don't know if they have it there, but he has Earl Stevens wine all through California, selling like crazy. Man, he got an argument with a white girl. They kicked him out. He said, despite that, why? Because as a group, man, no matter that you got some money,
look
you
at
still
Jonathan
black.
Majors.
Right?
Look at Jonathan Majors. He was the toast and the talk of the town. He messed up one time, and they lightened his behind up.
Yep,
lighten him up. Look at what they did. Look what they did to Kyrie Irving. For all he did was just post something. But when that little white girl Pearlie, man, the whole black community damn split up. One side taken up for, well, not the whole black community, but just this YouTube stuff. You had a bunch of black men caping for her. Then you had also on this side lighting her ass up. But this is the mentality. Let's look at Jamaica. Who runs Jamaica? Asians and Indians. Who runs the economics in Jamaica? Asians and Indians. What about Trinidad? Asians and Indians. What about Barbados? Asians and Indians.
Yep.
Let's go over to Uganda. Who runs Uganda? Indians.
Asians and Indians. Yeah.
Going into South Africa. So you see this happening in black spaces and places all over the world. But then you mad at me for ringing the alarm, sounding the alarm, ringing the bell. Yo, what are y'all doing? You bet. Oh,
black people want to feel like what they think is actually true when it's not. They don't want to deal with what's really happening, which is delusional.
I'm dealing with facts over feelings.
Right.
He said, we built this country. And watch this though. See, watch this. Y'all got to stay with me. A lot of you black men, don't get emotional. Take your panties off. Stop. Just listen. When he goes as a Latino or Hispanic man or whatever you want to call him, and he says, we built this country, we've been discriminated against, we've been enslaved, he ain't lying. So-called natives and stuff like that, they was murdered and destroyed off. And a lot of them have native blood mixed with Spanish blood, the same way we have African blood mixed with European blood. So there's a lot of truth to what he's saying, right? We know that they took New Mexico. We know that they took Texas and California and all that kind of stuff belonged to those people, those natives of those areas and that lived in those places, right? Okay, fair enough. But I need y'all to understand something. That has nothing to do with our argument. That's their argument. That's what he's entitled to have. That doesn't lessen our argument any. If anything, it should be pushing us forward and uniting us more because other groups is listening to us, and there's other groups in this country that have legitimate claims too, whether you like it or not. And see, the reason why you feel that way because a lot of y'all don't know American history. You don't know your history. They do. They know their history. I know their history. I know my history as an African American, as a black person. So when he makes a statement, I'm not offended because he ain't talking to me. He talking to the U.S. government about Latino inclusion. Because he's saying, wait, in this country, everything is black and white. Hey, we're over here. And I'm looking like, okay, do your thing, man. Yo, black people, don't worry about him. Stay focused on what we doing. Let them do their own thing. Let's get our shit. Y'all keep looking over. Stop being with the Most High tell Lot. What did he tell him? He said, gather your family and your people and come on along and don't look back. What did his wife do? Her dumb ass turned around and turned into salt, turned into stone. Y'all keep looking back. Stop looking back and look forward. With your people, if you one homeowner on a block where there's no other homeowners, then you're powerless. Let's start online pushing black home ownership. Let's start online pushing black business. pushing black people to the polls in our local cities to take over our shit. If you ain't doing that, then what are you talking about? Don't talk to me about individual success. That's not what garners power here. Because all of y'all that's disgruntled what he's saying, how many of y'all got power to punish John? Who can you call right now that can actually reprimand or check John for what he said?
Nothing. Nobody.
So don't tell me I'm not qualified to speak. You're not qualified to make that statement because you know that you don't have the power. And a lot of black folks that do is in bed with those people that's not going to punish them. I just love you enough to come on here and tell you the damn truth of how other groups view you. I'll say this before we get out of here. Osha, how you think the Indians, when they come, people from India, when they come in, they view black people?
Oh, they don't. I don't think they take us that serious, to be honest. They may never say it, but I don't think so.
What about the Asian man, the Korean and the Chinese man?
No. When
they come into your community and open up shop and buy up all the property in your community and even own some of the buildings, man, this is sad, bro.
And then you're the one patronizing them, and then you can't touch their women. You can't talk to their women.
No, you can't talk to them.
They can talk to your women all day. You can never talk to their women.
No.
And they're going to send their kids to school off of the Black and Mild blunts and Hennessy and pork rinds y'all buy. Listen, how can you expect them?
I'll tell you a short story. Back in 97, I had a house out in Hatboro, PA. That's about 35 minutes, about 35 miles outside of Philadelphia. You know, I had made enough money. I bought a house out in Hatboro, PA, you know, to get out of the hood. I had a situation where it was a home invasion and people came in there and my mother, that's my dad's, my aunt, my dad's sister, but she was like my mother. She's like my mother. She helped raise me. And they went in the house and tied her up with my sisters and a whole bunch of stuff. So I went out about 2 months later. I went out and bought a house out in Hatboro, PA. And I was living out there for a while. And my next door neighbor was an Indian guy on the left, and to the right side was a white guy. And I remember one day the white guy had a party. And out there, when they had parties, they invite their neighbors and all that kind of stuff. But I'm from the hood. I'm not used to I intermingling with like these different ethnic groups because Philly is a segregated city. So I'm young. I think how old was I? 97, 22. And I was getting money. I go over to the party, and he was just asking me like, how do you live out here? And I got it. I said, my family has money. My father, he's well to do or whatever. I couldn't tell him what I was doing. And the Indian guy said to me, O'Shea, he said, why do your people, when y'all make money, leave your community? He said, when we come to America, we come right to your community to make money. We come right to your community to buy up all the property and the buildings and open up the stores and everything. Why do you people, when you make money, leave? And at that time, I was only 22. I didn't understand everything I understand now. Only thing I understood was, man, I can't live damn in the hood. Like getting the money I'm getting is too dangerous. I got to get my family out of here. Like I almost got all the women in my family killed. So I got to get them out of here. But when he said that, it just started clicking in my mind. Like, man, when we make money, we all got the mindset of, I call it, I can't wait to get the F out of here mentality. How many of y'all watching this live in urban areas where you seen a dead body in the street and it's all taped out and the police is out there just before they cover the body up with the white sheet, and you like, man, I can't wait to get that. Or you just going through things in the community, and when you get in a position to leave, you leave and you never come back. Other immigrant groups, what I've learned was other immigrant groups is watching us. And they don't have to live in the community per se, but they come into your community and they buy up all the property. And within a year, they're multimillionaires. You got certain Indian and Asians and Russian Jews. They own $10-12 million worth of property because the multi-million-dollar properties is in all the urban areas across America. Philadelphia, Center City, and around Center City, you have West Philly, South Philly, North Philly, Northeast Philly. The ghettos is about a mile from Center City. And in those ghetto areas, right, is where all your 3-story condos and apartment buildings and stuff, they all worth $5, $6, $7 million now. All those was crack shacks in the 80s. All the black dudes that owned those buildings, they indicted them and put them in jail and confiscated the properties. And now all Russian Jews, Asians, and Indian people own those properties. None of the affluent blacks came back and brought them properties. None of them did. And because of that, you have no political power in the city that you live in now. You have no say so. And this is the problem. California, New York City, Florida, all these different places, man, where you have large percentages of black people. So when I'm at that party, he said, why do you people run away from your people? Oh, shit, this is the Indian man saying this to me, to a 22-year-old at that time. But it let me know that they were observant. They was watching us. They was watching what we're doing. So at my age, I have life experiences and I've been places. I've been through things. I've been getting money since I was 14 years old. So, and I had the opportunity to get to a level where I was no longer on the block or in the hood no more. I was invited to parties. I've been around different people, Romanian people, Albanians. I've seen the way that they operate. Russian Jews, Asians. I've seen all of them. I've been invited to all kinds of parties. I was real cool with some Greeks, some Greek people, and they used to invite me out everywhere. And that's how I met so many different peoples and going to different places, man. And I see I've had conversations and the way that they view African Americans. And I've even had a guy from Bangladesh one time tell me he loved, from a distance in Bangladesh, he loved African American people. But he didn't understand when he got here all the freedoms that we so-called had, why we don't stick together, or with all the things that we've been through, why we're not fighting. He just always asked that. And I said to him, we are fighting. I said, we've been fighting for 400 or 500 years. But again, I said that because I know some of y'all gonna get your panties, your period just came on. Why did he say we're not fighting? It doesn't matter what he said. It's the mindset that when he look at us, he doesn't think we're fighting.
Right.
We're not putting out the image to the world that we're concerned about our bottom line. So when other groups view us, they like, oh, you don't want that? We'll take it. We'll take it. Why am I saying this, George? Because when you walk in the room, black man and black woman, your appearance, your mere appearance should speak for you. They should already know that they can't play with you because you ain't coming. You are non-compromising. You use your history to empower you, not to whine about it. Man, we built this country. He lying. Ain't no power behind that. He should be afraid to say what he says because he know that African Americans is coming for him because we take this personal. It shouldn't be nobody online saying we don't need reparations and quoting goddamn Thomas Sowell. And people like, what's that black dude that's the Supreme Court Justice? Clarence Thomas and all these damn Sambos, man. So how are we going to be taken serious when you got black people in these high positions? Look at how they carrying on. So don't be mad at me. I'm just the messenger trying to tell you the truth. Don't be mad at me. I'm not saying nothing wrong. I know exactly what I'm saying. I hope you guys can get out of your emotion and get to work. We are at war. And other groups, despite how long we've been fighting, despite how we trying to view ourselves, they got a different outlook at the way that they view us. They view us as lazy, inadequate, and not willing to fight for what's ours. So they come and take it. And if you think I'm lying, just go outside and look at your community. And you can continue to blame it on the white man all you want. Where has that gotten us? I'm done.
Well, let's see how mad they get this time, brother. Thank you so much for coming. Any last words about, how they can reach you and all that stuff?
Man, yeah, you guys can reach me at Street Media TV. That's my channel. You also can support Urban Nerds. That's my website, Urban Nerds Worldwide. You can go there and support our nonprofit. You can donate either through Venmo or PayPal, or you can hit our Cash App at Urban Nerds WW2020. Like I said, we got a couple college tours coming up. We're going to a military base. We'll be May 13th. We'll be at Zayek's Institute. He's having a science fair. So, you know, we got the African American, the Aerospace Museum, the Smithsonian Aerospace Museum in DC in July. We got the Blacks Wax Museum in July. And I think in was it June, we got the African American Smithsonian Museum again. We got a couple of things coming up, man. So, you know, if you guys want to donate, you know, Urban Nerds, and I titled this Urban Nerds because we want to bring Black intelligence back to the community. We want to change the way that the youth talk. So we got shirts like Nerds over there. Urban Nerds, not urban shooters. Because again, if you can change the way that they speak, you can change the way that they view themselves. If you can change the way that they view themselves, you can change their outcomes and what they manifest. If you got children practicing being urban nerds, you don't need metal detectors when they walk in buildings. We have to change the way that they view themselves, man, and let them know that they're capable of doing all things. We have to change the mindset of our youth. If you ain't willing to roll up your sleeves and get down and dirty and do this work, then just stop talking. Just stop talking. I'm done.
Right, guys. Well, thank you so much. It is now 6 a.m. We have the Pan African Dating Show in about an hour. I haven't been to sleep yet, so we're out. Peace.